Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, here with my continuing coverage of the 2015 NBA playoffs. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals matchup between the number 1 seed Atlanta Hawks and the number 2 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the injury situation. We already know Kevin Love, he had surgery, he's done for the season. J.R. Smith is back in the lineup after his suspension. He played well, but he's coming off the bench now. Shumpert is now the starter, and he's played well, better defender, not the same natural shooting motion. But he can hit the threes, though, so they don't really lose that much. But more than anything else, you've got LeBron and Kyrie. They're both really banged up coming out of their last series with Chicago. Chicago has a way of doing that to you. And with both of them, I'm not sure what their status will be, and that will have a huge effect on the series. If one of them is missing, much less both of them, then it'll be incredibly hard for Cleveland to get wins. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to just assume that they're both healthy and they're both playing 100%. In which case, let's talk about some individual matchups, because Demare Carroll, he's been one of the happy surprises from Atlanta in the playoffs. This is a guy that I'd heard his name a few times this season, barely knew who he was, but he's been one of their driving forces in the first 2 rounds. He's been one of their most consistent stars on offense, and he's also a pretty decent on-ball defender. And so him locking up versus LeBron James, that'll be interesting to watch. Plus, Atlanta is a team that they play small, so they can switch off though. So LeBron's gonna get a mix. You're gonna see a lot of Demare Carroll, but you'll also see some Paul Millsap. You might see him versus going up against Korver. Yeah. And so, I think LeBron's taller than this entire starting lineup, anyways. But whatever. You've also got Jeff Teague versus Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he's been so banged up. He has about a week to just sit and rest, and maybe that'll make enough of a difference that he's healthy again. Because when he's healthy, he's probably the best guard in the playoffs now. Because it's him, Wall, and Curry basically. But especially if he's not healthy, you've got Jeff Teague. He's a really decent matchup. He's a guy who can be that floor general that you need from him. It all comes down to the role players though. Is Korver gonna hit threes? Millsap, he's got to be a very versatile guy. He and Horford, both capable of getting triple doubles. Millsap, he can score, he can rebound, he can assist. On the Cavs side, you got Tristan Thompson. He's an amazing playmaker, and the only reason he was ever on the bench all season is because Kevin Love is in there. But Tristan Thompson, especially in that second round, he's been looking like the second coming of Dennis Rodman. And Timothy Mozgov, he's played incredibly well. Shumpert and Smith have done their thing, and Dellavedova, he's played well. With Kyrie when it benched with his injury woes. So Cleveland has a lot of good supporting cast, whereas Hawks, I know everybody in their starting lineup. I know 1 or 2 bench guys. It's hard to say with them that they have a stronger bench, even though I think they'll go to it more. But whatever. Also, if you look at individual matchups, the Cavs, they have a clear advantage because they're taller, stronger. You could argue more athletic, but that's true about just about every opponent that the Hawks have had all season long. They've still somehow managed to win 60 games. They've still somehow managed to advance past the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So, the Hawks, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. The phrase, hopefully. Whatever. I don't really understand. The parts are, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with a migraine right now. It's making it hard to concentrate. With the Hawks, good. No matter how good your defense is, ball movement can completely tear it apart. So if the Hawks are executing offensively and you see the good ball movement and the defense is constantly trying to switch, trying to keep up with them, then the Hawks can take advantage of mismatches and they can put a lot of points on the board. Then again, in crunch time, I can trust Kyrie to hit those threes even if he's not healthy. You can trust LeBron to drive into the paint and enforce his will and dominate. So, and the Hawks, all season long, you've heard it said they don't have a superstar, and that's one of the big knocks on them. But at the same time, that's probably what makes them the scariest because, with the Cavs, you go in there knowing, like, we're going to shut down LeBron James, which no one's going to shut LeBron James down. All you can do is try to limit him because this is a guy capable of scoring 60 points a game. So if you keep him under 20, which no one really ever does, you're doing pretty good. I mean, he had some high-scoring games against the Bulls, but look at the field goal percentage because LeBron is usually a lot more efficient than what he was in the last series. You can slow him down, but that doesn't make it easier for you to win because he'll still find a way to score against you. But the Hawks, if you go in there, you say we're gonna shut down Horford. Then Millsap could go off on you. Carroll could go off on you. Korver could just hit 10 threes in a row, and you just have no answer for him. Teague could go out there and just double it up with 30 points, 11 rebounds, have himself a Chris Paul night. I meant 11 assists. Like I said, this migraine is fucking with me right now. Anyways, but I mean, the Hawks, on any given night, any of these guys could kill you. And that makes it hard to game plan defensively. And really, even if you do game plan very well for it, it comes down to execution. You can coach them up as much as you want, but it comes down to what the players do on the floor. I feel like Cavs are more talented. Hawks play a better team game. And so, it's a toss-up here. I want to give the advantage to the Hawks because they've got home field advantage and they've played well and when things are clicking, when it's going well, they look almost unstoppable. I mean, they've got clear advantages which you can take advantage of, but people don't. They don't really. Somehow, even against the Wizards, who have guys like Gortat and Nene, there were still times where the Hawks were beating them up on the boards, and they're not a pounded out inside team, so that's really scary to think about. But I don't think that's going to happen in this series. And the Hawks, if they play the best game they're capable of, they're more than capable of winning this, but they've been so inconsistent at times throughout the year. I just don't trust them. I feel so much more confident picking Cleveland to win it all. Going with the been there, done that, 1-2 championships LeBron James. This is his 5th year in a row in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, it's hard to bet against the King. That being said, easily a 6 or 7 game series, and I would be shocked if any game is won by more than 10 points. I mean, I think this could very easily be like their first year against the Spurs, when you had that one game which was a 2-point win, and then game 2 was a 30-point Heat win, and then game 3 was a 30-point Spurs win, and then games and it just kept going back and forth. But then 6 and 7, 2-point Heat win, and then it's in overtime, and then game 7 and blah blah blah. I don't like thinking about that. That was still a bad memory for me, but either way, I think it's going to be a fun series to watch. These teams both present plenty of challenges for the other, and it's going to be a tough matchup. I just think that overall, Cavs are the scarier team to be matched up against.